I don't believe my mom ever seen anything that happened before I was 11. My name is Corrine Hanley. I am 40 years old. I have been away from abusive situations for 16 years. My abuse started when I was 4. I was sexually abused by my stepfather, and then from there it rolled into a couple of domestic abuse relationships. My mom states, back in the day she was abused, so she of course found my stepfather, who physically, sexually abused me, even when my mom was in the house. He was a military man. When him and my mother were closer and got married, we moved to Virginia, where the abuse happened on military housing, mostly anal sex. For a good portion of the abuse, many, many years, I often thought that I wished that he would just do it the other way and thought it would be less painful. And he never did. He never actually had sex with me ever. He did, of course, force my brother to have sex with me in front of him. For my brother, he became the other abuser in the house. And so he, in turn, was, the other thing I feared growing up. My mom went off for the summer. She said she had to leave. It was an emergency. The family needed her in Arizona. She left me with my stepfather, my abuser, for a full summer with no protection. When she got back that summer, I told her. And she didn't believe me. She gave me 24 hours to be on an airplane. And she was sending me back here to Oregon, where my family lived. Then they got a letter from my mom talking about the abuse and why she sent me to Oregon. They put me in foster care. After it was reported and I was put in foster care, they then went into military court, and he was just got a dishonorable discharge and a week in jail. Then it went until I was 13. Then my mom got custody of me again. She brought me back to Virginia, where all the abuse happened, and put me back around my stepfather. There was no end. My brother was institutionalized right when we got back to Virginia from my mom getting custody of me. That was like the last stage. He got out for a stay. We were in a hotel, and him and my mom and my stepfather went to the movies. Left me in the motel room. So they were off having fun, and I put rocks in my pocket and went into the swimming pool. I was going to try and drown myself. I had to save myself from my mom again. Didn't work, of course. But I went back to the hotel, and I called the institute myself. I was there until from 13 to 14. I got out on good behavior, went into foster care. And so I wasn't sure where it was going to end. Just before my 15th birthday, my foster parents were celebrating my birthday and everything, and my mom didn't call me. Nobody called me. So I tried to commit suicide again. And then my foster parents had no choice but to put me back in the institution. So I celebrated my 15th birthday there. I did a lot of in-house therapy. Eventually getting out and getting 24 hours with my last foster home that I was in, and then they flew me back here to Oregon to be in foster care again. I think a caseworker picked me up at the airport, took me into a temporary foster home, and then I went to foster care until I was 18. I was considered a runner, so most of my foster homes didn't last very long. If I was triggered by something with my PTSD, I would just run, and I ran away from foster homes like 5 to 6 times. Some of them only took 1 before they moved me to another foster home. Ultimately, total, I was in 75 different foster homes growing up to the age of 18. My last foster mom, Cherry Walker, she was really awesome. I ran away 7 times, but she kept bringing me back every time I ran away. She really set the bar for foster parents, and it was my very last one. When I turned 18, I was released from foster care because 18, you're an adult. You no longer get their support. Because by the time I was 18, I was still a junior, and I just dropped out. I had to get a job. So from there, it just went to different jobs. I didn't graduate. 18 to 20, 21, I was pretty promiscuous. I didn't protect myself. I ultimately met my first husband. I was 21, and I met him in the bar. We were married not very long, but the abuse, it seemed like it was forever. It was only about 2 years. It was, all I knew. His abuse compared to the abuse when I was a child, it felt home-like. At the beginning, before I married him, he really wanted to, he loved me and he would show me attention. He would take me out. We would do things. After the marriage, we moved. I was secluded, and it was just the opposite. There was no, you're beautiful. He physically abused me. He was a logger. He controlled me by taking me to work with him. So we were up in the mountains. Most of my abuse happened up there because nobody could hear me screaming in the mountains. He was also a meth addict. He didn't have his license. He would make me ride in the back seat when he would be off on his little runs. And if there was an accident, I had my license, and of course I would be responsible for the accident. I wasn't allowed to wear a bra. I had to drive into town and go shopping in public without a bra on because I wasn't allowed to look attractive to anybody else. He's kidnapped me. Ultimately, in the end, I left him at least 5 times. I was knocked out. Something drastic happened that I would leave, and then I would feel destined to go back. But Tanya would save me. She was the one beneath my wings. I'd say I'm going to be at the bar, and then I don't show up at the bar. So here's Tanya in the yard where my husband is, and I'm actually tied up in the shed, so I can't respond to her. He had put me in there because he knew I had made plans to be with my friends, and ultimately the next day I got loose, but Tanya would help me every time I ran away. She was always there, and she never knew why I would go back. I didn't know anything else. That seemed like love. My second marriage wasn't a good, healthy relationship. Well, in my mind, it was a healthy relationship. It turned out to be my second marriage, ultimately ending in not physical abuse, but neglect and verbal abuse. First, I thought it was causing it, but then I realized it was just a chain that I was mingling myself into because of my abuse and them being abusers. I was aware that what I was in was abuse because of all the abuse, but not aware of what to do about it. I have a lot of physical damage in my head and my neck, and painful stuff that reminds me every day of the abuse that I walked away from. As a survivor, I am a Blue Angel with the Lebanon Police Department. We speak up for child abuse. We donate to the ABC House, which is in Albany, and they're a one-stop place for child abuse. Back when I was in foster care, we would have the examiner. We'd have to go to the hospital. We'd have to stay at AFS and get questioned. Then we'd have counselors. Well, at the ABC House, they're all in one place. I think the one thing that I found that helped me get through situations during those times is writing it down and speaking to the first person that felt comfortable. Even if it's multiple people, the more you speak, eventually somebody's going to hear you and take it a step further and help. A woman's place for me today is being a mother, having a full-time job, being a wife, and being able to function in the real world normally, along with having PTSD.